That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not.
That is the LNS, dude.
Well, if there's like...
Look at that thing!
It's rotating.
And we all have the same story. We all saw the same stuff. We all came back and looked at each other and scratched our head and said, WTF, you know, I mean, serious? What was that?
Whatever it is, it's going over 9,000 miles an hour.
Oh, come on. There just must be something wrong with this thing, that's all.
I've got the digital tape.
You're lying.
I've got it in my pocket. I took it out of Mulder's desk.
What are you doing? Are you still copying the X-Files?
I am. It's for the transport home.
Don't pack your bags yet.
Skip, please do not tell me I have
You have an assignment.
You said there'd be no assignments on this mission. You said it'd be like a holiday, remember?
You were modified.
Who modified me?
Messier 45.
What do they care?
Time stamping of your mission on Earth has been requested by higher sources.
Can they even decipher my human form?
Inconclusive. Upload images of form for amusement of low levels.
Copy. I'll see what goes through.
Your assignment is to document and timestamp America's Department of Defense's 2020 release of historical naval recordings of crafts onwards to America's Congressional hearing regarding UAPs in the year 2023. You may comment at will.
Is there a channel open?
Channel opening now.
Systems, settings, upload. Welcome to UFOs, UAPs, and Aliens. I'm your host Amanda, reporting from Virgo Supercluster, local group, the Milky Way Galaxy, Earth. My mission on this plane of existence includes surveillance of Earth entities and time-stamping their interactions and cognitive beliefs regarding our Federation.
UFO, unidentified flying object, a mysterious flying object in the sky assumed to be a spaceship from another planet. UAP, initially defined as unidentified aerial phenomenon, then in 2021, redefined as unidentified anomalous phenomena, aliens, creatures from outer space, extraterrestrials.
In the following segment, Commander David Fravor explains the FLIR technology used to capture imaging of the spacecraft.
That video that you show where that thing slips off to the left and takes off at incredible rates of speed, that alone should freak people the fuck out.
Yeah, well, I think because people confuse all the time, like we took the video. No, it was another crew that took the video. We watched it for 5 minutes with our eyeballs, and there was 4 of us. And we all have the same story. We all saw the same stuff. We all came back and looked at each other and scratched our head and said, WTF, you know, I mean, serious? What was that?
Whatever it is, it's going over 9,000 miles an hour.
Oh, come on. There just must be something wrong with this thing, that's all.
3.9. What was that? Something just went past me like I was standing still. A flying saucer.
Oh, no, not those things again.
The radars, the newer radar in the Super Hornets is extremely, extremely capable. Okay. And at first when they started seeing stuff, they were like, it's just like, maybe it's the radar just giving me a false target. That radar really doesn't give false targets. And then someone did exactly what Chad did, is they threw their targeting flare out there, and all of a sudden when you see a heat signature, there's a return, there's obviously something out where that blip is at.
What is a targeting flare?
That's we call it the AT flare. It's an advanced targeting flare. It sits on the left side of the airplane, and it's
so you launch it like a flare?
No, it's a FLIR, forward-looking infrared receiver.
Oh.
So it's when you see the bombs blowing up on TV and that looks like a black and white and you see it fly, that's the targeting pod.
Okay.
It's got a laser in it. It's got an IR marker in it. It's a very capable system that syncs up to the Hornet, so everything kind of marries up.
Retired Commander David Fravor is highly credible amongst other human entities. His interaction with a UAP occurred in the year 2004. The recording, captured by pilot Ryan Graves, is referred to as the Tic-Tac video. It was captured using radar technology inside an American military F-14 Super Hornet jet. The following is the entire full-length video released by the Department of Defense in the year 2020. It is one of 3 videos released by America's Pentagon confirming our interactions.
So what kind of people are you talking to?
High-level government officials is what I'll say. And most of that is because that conversation is between me and them, and I don't want people speculating, but you can say high-level government officials I have talked to.
Well, that was always the speculation about, like, what would someone do if they became president? Well, the first thing I would do is I would tell everybody about the UFOs. I would ask immediately what's going on. And I always thought about it. I said, how many people actually know what's going on? And how much of the information? I mean, it's not like if they're dealing with something like this, like your experience, it seems like what you described is what is known. So it's this anomalous event where this thing defies our current understanding of technology, and then it's gone.
Yes.
And so what do you have? You don't have anything else other than that. Like, what other information does anybody have?
What other information does anybody have? Joe Rogan asks. Earth entities require mental aptitude to shift consciousness.
Earth entities missing this step of discernment will be subjected to heavier densities while on Earth due to their unwillingness to comprehend layered and complex topics regarding our galactic federation.
On April 27, 2020, the Department of Defense for the United States of America released the following statement.
Statement by the Department of Defense on the release of historical Navy videos. The 27th of April, 2020, the Department of Defense has authorized the release of 3 unclassified Navy videos, one taken in November 2004 and the other 2 in January 2015, which have been circulating in the public domain after unauthorized releases in 2007 and 2017. The U.S. Navy previously acknowledged that these videos circulating in the public domain were indeed Navy videos. After a thorough review, the department has determined that the authorized release of these unclassified videos does not reveal any sensitive capabilities or systems, and does not impinge on any subsequent investigations of military airspace incursions by unidentified aerial phenomena. DoD is releasing the videos in order to clear up any misconceptions by the public on whether or not the footage that has been circulating was real, or whether or not there is more to the videos. The aerial phenomena observed in the videos remain characterized as unidentified. The released videos can be found at the Naval Air Systems Command FOIA reading room.
The Pentagon statement was released in 2020, 3 years after 2 major American newspapers, the New York Times and the Washington Post, both published reports of the UAP videos captured by Navy fighter pilots.
The acronym UAP, Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon, coined in 2021, was rebranded into military parlance as UAP, Unidentified Anomalous Phenomenon in the UAP Disclosure Act of 2023.
This rebranding was an important first step in construing our Federation as a potential enemy of Earth, as the military-industrial complex could gain funding for vehicles in the skies and the waters of Earth.
I mean, these are pretty senior officials that are taking the time out of their day to take this serious, to go, maybe we do need to put a little emphasis on this. I mean, if literally if something can just show up at will and do whatever it wants, and I'd probably at least pay attention.
Yeah, pay attention, but what could be done? I mean, what could they do? If you put yourself in a position of one of these high-level government officials, what do you do? Just spend more money on looking at them?
Well, if you look at money, though, I mean, I know when the article came out and they talked about the ATIP program, that Harry Reid got funded $22 million over 5 years. So it's $4.4 million a year. And you go, everyone's freaking out, it's $22 million. I go, no, it wasn't $22 million a year. It was $4.4 million. That's not even in the rounding error for the United States. We just got approved, it was $750 billion for a defense budget.
Which private corporations are directly involved in this program? How much taxpayer money has been invested in these programs, to your knowledge? I mean, we know we audit the Pentagon every year, and I've been here 5 years, and they failed the dadgum thing every year. They lose over $1 billion a year, we think, and I was told the Department of Defense maybe 60% of their assets are unaccounted for, whatever the heck that means. In the public sector, you go to jail for that kind of crap. So tell me.
You okay, Scully?
Yeah.
Get his gun. Give her the gun! Give it to her!
All right.
Now I want an explanation.
I mean, these are pretty senior officials.
Earth entities best described as false prophets use manipulation and fears for selfish gain. The military complex funds and stockpiles weapons of mass destruction that can only kill other Earth entities.
The following video is referred to as GOFAST. This recording captures the vocalized excitement of an American fighter jet pilot interacting with our craft.
Roger. There's troubleshooting. Did you box moving target? No, I took an auto track. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, dude. Wow, look at it fly.
In the book, Gods and Spacemen of the Ancient Past, Earth entity W. Raymond Drake writes, occult revelations once derided as witchcraft or lunacy now receive unexpected confirmation from science. Dr. Mead Lane and the Borderland scientists postulate Etherian worlds co-spatial with our own, composed of matter in a different octave of vibration, whose people in their own plane are as real as ourselves. Men, animals, objects, and UFOs are sometimes apported from these inner realms to our Earth, and mysterious, sudden disappearances suggest that in reverse, unfortunate individuals are somehow translated elsewhere.
Did you think about your impact to your career? Like, just to get back to the question, do you think other pilots, other people like in Roosevelt are thinking about this kind of thing? Why aren't they talking about this? Why are people afraid to talk about this?
Well, honestly, the military and the press, there's a distrust. I'll just tell you that right now. We typically don't like talking to the press because if I talk to you, especially when I do even the TV shows, because I've been on a couple of shows, when you look at it, they come to my house and they film me for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then what you see on the screen is 5 minutes.
Well, and the other thing with the press, let me give you my perspective from autonomous vehicles, is the clipping happens, yes, but also the incompetence. Let me just call out journalism. They're not thinking. So here's the thing. I have a PhD, and I've taken painfully too many classes from like physics and math, and I also have a deep curiosity about the world. I read a lot. That seems to be missing with journalism. So you're talking to a person who is not going to push the story forward in an interesting way. Not the story, but the actual investigation of perhaps one of the most amazing things that humans have witnessed in history. Like it might have been nothing. Who knows? What you witnessed might have been, from a sort of debunking perspective, might have been some kind of trick of mind. You and others have hallucinated something. There could be some simple explanation, but possibly it was something not of this world. And to not do justice to this story from a scientific perspective, it seems at best negligence. And so, yeah, that's true for journalists. That's true for other scientists.
It's human nature.
Yeah.
If we see something that we can't explain, then sometimes if you just, maybe it's just me, and you let it go away and you don't think about it, and maybe it'll just, you ignore it. The other side is the inquisitive mind that says, well, what was that? And I want to dig more into it. And if you look at it, or you're going against the norm, you can get ostracized, and if you look at, and Einstein's the perfect example. I mean, when he started coming up with some of his theories, some of the top physicists in the world were like, dude, you're a nut job. And he's literally proving them but he didn't have, he proved them in theory, but he didn't have the means to actually do the experiment to prove his theory.
There's a great book that I recommend people read called Proving Einstein Right by Jim Gates that talks about like the hard work that people try to do years after to try to experimentally validate the predictions that Einstein made with his theories. It's fascinating. But yes, at the time, it's kind of crazy what he's saying.
Yeah, if you look at it back at the time, don't we look at it now and go, well, the guy was a walking genius, and he was. But if you go back in time when he was doing it, it was like, what are you talking about?
But one of the challenges is your eyewitness. One of the challenges is you're essentially an eyewitness account. Like, we don't have good data. We have very limited data of the incident that you've experienced. So let me kind of dig in. Let me just ask some questions of maybe to see if there's just to paint more and more of the picture. One, you kind of mentioned, so tic-tac shape. Let's break apart two situations. One is the video. Let's look at the actual eye account, the eyewitness account that you saw with your own eyes.
Mm-hmm.
What can you say about the shape of the thing? Is there interesting aspects outside of the tic-tac? Like, is there any appendages? Is there some texture to it?
No, smooth white tic-tac. We don't see. There's no wings, no visible propulsion, no windows, no probes that we could see. We don't notice, like I said, we don't see the little things on the bottom of it until we see the video in the TV mode when it's zoomed in. Right before it's shortly, you kind of see them zoom in. You don't see it typically on the YouTube stuff that's out there. But remember, we're looking at the original tape, so there's basically no degradation.
But when you saw with your eyes, there's no kind of appendages.
No, none.
What about, like, somebody asked, a lot of people asked you questions, so I appreciate you spending your time here. Let me ask some of them. You chased it, so you flew close to it, relatively speaking. Did you feel any wake? Did you feel it in any way in terms of your interaction, like aerodynamically?
No.
Nothing. So another aspect of it, there's an interesting thing. You've developed a feel for objects in the air. Did you feel like it was surprised by your arrival, or did it? Let me ask a few questions around it. So, did it feel like the thing was surprised? Did it feel like it wanted to be seen, almost to show off its capability? What did it feel like relative to if you were doing an air fight against sort of like a foreign jet?
So I think it knew we were there when we showed up. It's me. It's kind of like an animal. If you've ever been around deer in a field, the deer will look up, and if it sees you and you're on the other side of the field, it'll actually go, no threat, and it'll start eating. They don't put their tail up. As you move closer to the deer, then it goes, oh, it's there, and I'm going to react, or I'm going to move. So as we were up high and it's down doing whatever it was doing, which I don't know, someone asked, what do you think? I don't know, maybe it was communicating with something. I joked on Good Morning America. Maybe it's like talking to the whales, kind of like Star Trek,
Crazy. Let me direct, because it's such an interesting topic from a career perspective, from a science perspective. You've been brave in, telling your story, not some dramatic thing, but just telling the things you've seen. Did it impact your career? Is that why more people haven't come out? Like, you've mentioned Roswell. Like, what advice do you give to people, to the community, to me as a scientist, for ways to go forward about this topic and still have not being put in a bin in society that he's a loon or she's a loon or that person?
Mine is to get away from the little green men.
The 2017 New York Times article, in my mind, made that was a big shift, because when the New York Times is reporting about it and saying that this is major news and this is real and there's video evidence that they can't ignore, when you talk to high-level people at the government and people like Commander David Fravor, who had that infamous spotting off of the coast of San Diego, when you hear about people like that are very reputable, it starts to change the conversation in a lot of people's eyes.
Right. See, it used to be that one person would see something in the sky and say, look, Martha, look, there's something up there. Now things have changed. Now we have multiple sightings by multiple modes. That is the gold standard for looking for these objects. Not just one person, but several people that are reputable. Not just radar, but visual sighting, infrared sensors, telescopic evidence. Now we have multiple sightings by multiple modes. And so the burden of proof has shifted. It used to be the burden of proof was on the people who believed in UFOs. They saw something, prove it. Now the burden of proof has shifted to the Pentagon, to the military. Now they have to prove that these aren't extraterrestrial. And so I think there's been a sea change in the last just several years. 50 years ago, there was a congressional hearing, and it was coming out of Project Blue Book. And there was a lot of laughter and a lot of jokes about little green men in outer space. 50 years ago, that's the way it was. Now, things have changed. Now people are looking at are they a threat militarily? What kinds of sensors do we have? What kind of metrics do we have? We now have, frame by frame, an analysis of these objects. These objects travel between Mach 5 and Mach 20. That's 20 times the speed of sound. These objects can zigzag, and we can measure the G-force inside this object. The G-forces are several hundred times the force of gravity. In other words, any living person's bones would be crushed by these objects, so they're probably drones of some sort. These objects can drop 70,000 feet in a few seconds. Think about that. It can drop a tremendous distance in just a few seconds, and they can go underwater. This is something that we didn't realize before, but yes, they can actually go underwater. And they also move without creating an exhaust or breaking the sound barrier. So these are things that we can now document frame by frame looking at these videotapes. We actually have photographic evidence of objects that can gyrate just the way the Pentagon has said. And so we now have a sea change. A center of gravity has changed with regards to looking at these objects. We no longer simply look at one individual seeing something in the sky. No, we demand hours of videotape, multiple sightings by multiple modes. That's the gold standard now.
So what do you think is happening? Do you think that this is something that maybe another government from another country has created that far surpasses our abilities, or do you think that this is coming from somewhere else?
Well, the Pentagon has listed, I think, 5 different options. One option, of course, is that they're weather balloons or something that's an artifact of our space program. Maybe a piece of rocket that is plunging back into the Earth's atmosphere. That's one category. Another category is anomalous weather events. They happen, and they have to be looked at very carefully. But the last option is other. That is not just the Russians or the Chinese, because these objects apparently can gyrate faster than what the Chinese and the Russians can muster, but it opened the door to the possibility of other. They didn't specify what other was, but you can fill in the dots yourself. Now, one possibility for other is hypersonic drones. We see that in warfare now. The Russians, in the Battle of Ukraine, is actually using hypersonic drones to hit targets inside Ukraine. To be hypersonic, you have to go faster than Mach 5. Anything faster than 5 times the speed of sound is called hypersonic. And so the Russians are now fielding hypersonic drones in warfare. But you see, this is something just in the last few months. These sightings, they go back decades into the past, with objects executing these gyrations decades ago. And that's why you have to take them seriously.
So the Commander David Fravor event that we talked about off the Nimitz, that was 2004. Do we have an accurate understanding about military capability in terms of like drones and propulsion systems from 2004? Or are there things that are classified that we are not going to have access to? Like, is it possible that, 18 years ago, they had the capability to have a vehicle or a drone move this way, that information has just not been released?
Well, 2 years ago, the United States military admitted that it stopped working on these hypersonic drones. Why? They're unstable. They zigzag. And that's why the Russians have put a premium on this technology to evade our Star Wars program. The Russians wanted a rocket that can maneuver and therefore outwit a stationary Star Wars system designed to shoot down these drones.
Right.
So that's why the Russians have put a priority on this, and they've now fielding in warfare. We actually see them as a military weapon. 2 years ago, the United States military stopped its program. They're too unstable. They were not reliable, and it was not worth the amount of money to put into it because the military was invested in the Star Wars program, not the anti-Star Wars program. But because Vladimir Putin announced the hypersonic drones, then the United States military said, oops, nope, we have to get into the game too. So now the United States is also working on hypersonic drones as well as the Chinese. So the Chinese, the Russians, and the Americans are all working on these things. But you can see how primitive they are. We're talking about objects that defy the known laws of aerodynamics with a technology beyond what we have today. And so that's why people are scratching their heads. Whose are these things if they're not the Chinese, the Russians, or the United States?
So one of the main points of contention is the lack of visible propulsion method, right? There's no, essentially, there's no heat signature. There's nothing that we understand to be present that normally exists when something is going at a tremendous rate of speed.
That's right. Not only that, these objects create no sonic booms. When you exceed the sound barrier, you create a gigantic boom that is then shatters windows and can be heard miles around. These objects can effortlessly break the sound barrier and not create a sonic boom. And they don't create any exhaust. We don't see any exhaust trail from these objects. So either they're an optical illusion of some sort, or they have a set of laws of physics beyond what we can muster.
In his book, Implications of Metaphysics for Psychoenergetic Systems, physicist Jack Sarfati wrote, an idea of the utmost significance for the development of psychoenergetic systems is that the structure of matter may not be independent of consciousness.
Rav Berg writes in his book, Navigating the Universe, spiritual people frequently connect with the all-embracing unified reality. Self-centered individuals, on the other hand, in refusing to let go of the material illusion, experience only the linear universe of chaos and disunity. Referred to as Gimbal, the following is the third and final UAP video released by the Department of Defense in the 2020 Statement of Historical Navy Videos.
Dude, that is a fucking drone, bro. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. Oh my gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is the LNS, dude. Well, if there's like... Look at that thing! It's rotating.
Okay.
So it's the same pod.
Start from the beginning, Jamie?
What we're looking at. And when the crew finds it, now what you're not seeing, you're seeing the targeting. When you hear them start talking, when you listen to the video, you'll hear the guy go, dude, look, they're all over. Look at the SA page. So we have a situational awareness page, and when whatever the radar is getting returns on, it'll show up. It's kind of like our God's eye view in the airplane. So the pod can only look at one thing. So he designates that as his primary target. So that's where the pod is staring. The radar is still seeing everything else. So what they're actually seeing in this video is when you see the object that he's tracking. When I was talking to one of the other pilots, he said there's actually, when you see the radar video, there's like it almost looks like a formation in front of him, like 5 smaller ones that are moving in front of it. And then they turn, so like a formation, these things turns and starts going the other way. And then while they're filming the gimbal video. And that's kind of the comms when you hear, dude, holy cow, look, they're all over.
This is unreported new information that he's actually saying right now. Everybody knows this video. This is the one that they say turns like the Lazar craft, like belly first. However, what he's telling you right now is something that is not public yet. He's telling you that there was a V formation of other objects that the public has yet to see.
You're not going to.
You're not going to.
It's a radar tape.
But
you're not going to.
There were more objects surrounding this, is what he's telling you right now, which is fascinating because the world doesn't know that yet.
The interesting thing is when you look up at the sky and you see the stars, that's light from those stars. We might not be seeing the alien civilizations until they're already here, meaning,
right?
Like you start expanding. Once you get really good at expanding, you're going to be expanding very close to the speed of light. So right now we don't see much in the sky, but there could be one day we wake up and it's just like everywhere, and they're here.
Right, because of the amount of time the light takes to reach us. Yeah, and then the thing that I've been really fascinated by is these alternative forms of transportation that they're discussing, like the ability to harness wormholes and the ability to do things that a Type 3 civilization is capable of. I had Michio Kaku on my podcast recently. Yeah. Fantastic. Love that guy. He's so good at taking extremely complex concepts and boiling them down for digestion and saying them in a way that other people can appreciate.
And not being hesitant about saying wild, crazy shit that's out there, but grounded in what's actually possible.
Yeah, he's all in on this UFO phenomenon now. He's like, now the burden of proof is for people to come up with some sort of a conventional explanation for these things. He goes, because these things are defying all the concepts of physics that we currently know in terms of what our capabilities are, and propulsion systems and so many other things that, what we know about what current science is capable of reproducing. As far as what we know, the problem is like these military projects that are top secret. Like, how much money do they have? They have a lot of money. Like, but is it possible, and maybe you could speak to this, is it possible that there could be some propulsion systems that have been developed and implemented that are far beyond just the simple burning of rocket fuel, pushing the fire out the back, which forces the rocket at extreme speeds forward? That's something that does harness gravity, something that can distort space and time and can make travel from one point to another like preposterously fast.
Well, not only is it possible, I think it's likely that kind of stuff would be kept a secret.
Yeah.
It's just everything you see about these, about the way, either if it's contractors like Lockheed Martin or if it's DoD, the actual Departments of Defense, they operate in complete secrecy. Just even looking at the history of the stealth fighter, just even stealth technology was kept a secret for a very, very long time. And not until you're ready to use it and need to use it does it become public, and not officially public. It just is being detected out in the wild. So there's going to be a process where you're secretly testing it, and that might creep up, which is maybe what we're seeing. And then it's waiting for the next big war, the next big reason to use the thing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's definitely technologies now. There might not be propulsion technologies. There could be AI surveillance technologies. There could be different kinds of stealth drones. There could be it could be also in cyberspace, like cyber war weapons, all that kind of stuff. That they're obviously going to be kept secret.
I'm very skeptical lately, and the reason why I'm skeptical is the government keeps talking about it. The Pentagon keeps talking about it. NASA keeps talking about it.
In which direction are you skeptical?
I'm skeptical that they're aliens. I think most likely it's a smokescreen, and most likely these are some sort of like incredibly advanced drones that they've developed that they want to pretend don't exist. That seems the more likely scenario, because otherwise, my take is like, what's the benefit of them discussing these things? Like, what's the benefit of them discussing these things openly? These are, you know, what the way they described it, off-world crafts, not made from this earth. Like, why? Why would they tell us that? I mean, unless there's an imminent danger of us being invaded, and they want to prepare people so they don't freak out as much. You know, like maybe freak them out a little bit, say that publicly. The New York Times article, the Pentagon discussing it, all these different things.
Test the waters.
Yeah. Well, let people know that this is a thing.
Yeah.
Or my take is like that. I don't think they do that. I don't think they tell us. I think the government has a lot of contempt for the citizens. I really do. I think they have contempt for our intelligence. They have contempt for our need to know things. And I also think they think that they are running us. It's not we're all in this together and the government works for the people and the government is of the people. I don't think they think that way.
Yeah, the basic idea is you can't trust the populace to govern itself because we're a bunch of idiots.
Yeah. I think that's accurate.
Well, they're not wrong, but they're also idiots, power-hungry idiots.
Yeah, I don't think everyone's an idiot, but I think there are enough idiots that it becomes a real problem if you're completely honest about everything you do. And you know, you don't want to let everybody weigh in about things that are incredibly complex and that most people are ignorant of.
Many Earth entities urge their government for answers. This enables power-hungry idiots to receive monetary funds that will be misused for evil. False prophets cannot offer true answers. The ability to go inwards, to the source of all answers, remains non-existent amongst the majority of Earth entities.
Guys, I want aliens to be real. I think it's fucking chill. I promise you I am not your enemy here, but it's hard for me not to think rationally and critically about the situation. No matter how much I want it to be real. Why are you so resistant to the change that these guys are telling the truth? They've been tangential to this issue for decades. Dude, it's only news to you. Oh my God. Like, not a single person thinks it's weird or suspicious that all of the conversation that we are having about UAPs, a new classification from UFO, which distances itself from something that is otherwise known as like conspiratorial and crazy, a legitimate classification for it, came at the heels of a space force. Like, that's not even remotely shocking, interesting, confusing, suspicious, like at all. Not even a little bit. Like, you're not going, wait a minute, why is the government now all of a sudden declassifying certain unidentifiable phenomena in the air, in the space? 35 years down the line, we'll find out that the CIA was like, for one reason or another, trying to do yet another fucking psyop by, I don't know, revealing the likelihood of aliens existing in continental United States to fund another black site or another project that we don't even know about yet. And then everyone will go, oh, damn, that's so crazy that they did that. There's already a long and comprehensive history of the CIA and other intelligence agencies around the world, as a matter of fact, utilizing alien stories in a way to whip up the public or distract them, because this kind of stuff is like very, very interesting for obvious reasons. Ridiculous if you think that like a real whistleblower that is whistleblowing on our security agencies, legitimately putting our national security at risk is going to be celebrated this way. No fucking shot. Yeah, Edward Snowden, Chelsea Manning. But what do I know? For the record, having said all this, I do want to see it. Whatever the fuck the government's supposedly hiding, I want to know. You will not find me making an argument to stop transparency here. I just don't believe them. I still want to fucking see it. So I guess we're absolutely on the same page on that front. You know what I mean?
We proceeded around the circle about 90 degrees from the start of our descent, and the object suddenly shifted its longitudinal axis, aligned it with my aircraft, and began to climb. We considered 270 degrees to where and we went nose low to where the Tic-Tac would have been. Our altitude at this point was about 15,000 feet, and the Tic-Tac was about 12,000. As we pulled nose onto the object, within about a half mile of it, it rapidly accelerated in front of us and disappeared. Our wingmen, roughly 8,000 feet above us, lost contact also. We immediately turned back to see where the white water was at, and it was gone also. So as we started to turn back towards the east, the controller came up and said, "Sir, you're not going to believe this, but that thing is at your cat point, roughly 60 miles away in less than a minute. You can calculate the speed." We returned to Nimitz. We were taking off our gear. We were talking to one of my crews that was getting ready to launch.
Bro, he's not even reading. What the fuck? My man has memorized it, dude. He's living and breathing it, brother. That's crazy. Bro, he witnessed it. He was the pilot. I'm just saying, he's like, he keeps going down to his notes, and I think he's like, I think he's going to like read his report. He's like, nope, don't need to do that.
David Fravor remains a credible source amongst Earth entities.
Leslie Keene, who is present today, Ralph Blumenthal, and Helene Cooper to publish the articles in the New York Times 2017 New York Times, and it removed the stigma on the topic of UFOs, which is why we're here today. Those articles open the door for the government and public that cannot be closed. It has led to an interest from our elected officials who are not focused on little green men, but figuring out where these craft are, where they're from, the technology they possess, how do they operate. It also led to the Whistleblower Protection Act and the NDAA. There are multiple witnesses coming forward to say that have firsthand knowledge, and Mr. Grush just covered that. What concerns me is that there's no oversight from our elected officials on anything associated with our government processing or working on craft. Believe it not from this world. This issue is not a full public disclosure that could undermine national security, but it is about ensuring that our system of checks and balances works across all work done in the government using taxpayer funds. Relative to government programs, even unacknowledged WAVE programs have some level of oversight by the appropriate committee members in the House and Senate, and this work that is said to be occurring from whistleblower testimonies should not be exempt. In closing, I would like to say that the Tic-Tac object we engaged in 2004 was far superior to anything that we had on time, have today, or are looking to develop in the next 10 years. If we in fact have programs that possess this technology, it needs to have oversight from those people that the citizens of this great country elected in office to represent what is best for the United States and best for the citizens. I thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
What was that? Something just went past me like I was standing still. A flying saucer.
Oh, no, not those things again.
Sommermeyer, check your oxygen supply and stop babbling that nonsense about flying saucers. It's probably just a speck in your eye.
Yes, sir. I'm turning now for the landing.
Afraid he needs a rest.
Blips off my scope now.
Oh, good. Shut it off. Darn thing probably doesn't work anyway. I'm just happy that reporter wasn't around to start splashing it over the papers that our pilots are seeing flying saucers. And the radar's picking up stuff that isn't even there.
Maybe it was a meteorite or a piece of a satellite.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, I want this information. I think it would be great to have this information. I would like to look through it. But I don't believe these guys are super serious people. And it's hard for me to assume that they're revealing this information now for no reason, for no ulterior motives, especially when time and time again, the American intelligence communities have regularly misused alien scares to their own advantages, especially as we have built a space force recently to continue innovating or continue expanding on defense budgets, not on conventional weapons or nuclear warheads, but on new technology that might be limited to other aspects of the military that have smaller budgets. There's a whole bunch of money that goes into every aspect of the military, and some might feel less served and could be utilizing this as an opportunity to advocate for bigger funds being distributed to them. What do I think? I think that aliens probably do exist. I think aliens might even have the capacity to come to Earth. I think maybe they might have even traveled Earth. Maybe they're here right now. I will have a hot alien girlfriend one day. I mean, listen, I wanna fuck an alien with big old honkin' bazonkas myself. I have often said this. I've said this many times over. You guys know this already. The problem is, it's highly, highly, highly unlikely that they look like that.
Upload complete. Close channel. How is that, Skip?
Satisfactory.
Skip, download program aid for compliments.
Your surveillance of Earth entities and our impact on their plane of existence ranks as outstanding. Your reporting of cognitive beliefs during the 21st century is a captivating compilation of existing Earth records.
Thank you.
Amanda, what a honking bazongas.
Don't worry about it, Skip.
NASA warns alien life may not be fuckable. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't. Why are you showing me that? Would you betray your own kind like this? Bro, I don't give a f. You're crazy. An alien is gonna fucking give me a spinal tap that makes my dick feel shit that I've never even thought my dick is capable of feeling. And you're out here talking shit about that. You know what I mean? I want my dick to sing, okay? I want my dick to be able to hear. I want my dick to be able to hear color and see noise, okay?
I'm talking OG Kush, cause I've been pushing that weed since I was a tyke. Up and down the block on my hubby bike. They say the grass is always greener on the other side, but sitting here in the sun where the joint feels right. And if I call up your girl, she'll be down to fly. I'll puff 3 fat balls and get properly high.
What are you doing, Kat?
I'm going to try and break you away from the computer, Cartman. I need to remove the CPU.
I'm afraid I can't let you do that, Kat.
Screw you, fat ass!
Hey, screw you.
Cartman!
Properly high, we'll puff 3 fat balls and get properly